There's no better feeling in golf than taking that driver out the bag with a nice big wide open fairway and smashing it straight down the middle. But if you consider how many times you're going to hit your driver in a round of golf, there might not be times when it's always as wide open and as sort of inviting as that big wide open first hole. There might be times when it's a bit narrower, or there's a bit of danger, or there's a bit of a hazard, or even it's a shorter hole. Then there's a consideration, well, do I throw the driver back in the bag and do I then pull out a 3-wood or a hybrid club or something else? So you might want to have a bit of versatility with your driver. You might want shots that you can hit long, powerful, straight down the middle, but you also might think, well, is there an option to take 25 yards out of this, 30 yards out of this, and to keep it on the fairway a little bit more regularly, a little bit more consistently? And that's the concept of not always hitting your driver at 100% power. So if you feel like every time you take your driver out, you've absolutely got to kill it at 100% power, chances are your margin of error needs to be quite wide and you won't have that many shots hitting the fairway. Let's say out of 10 shots, you only hit 5 onto the fairway and 5 into a bit of difficulty and danger. But what happens on those narrower holes? Well, I could dial this back and hit it 95% or 90% and keep it in play a little bit more. It's like that race car driver that drives around the circuit absolutely on the limit all the time, 100%. Yes, they're going fast, but eventually they're going to crash. And if we crash on the golf course, we lose a golf ball. If that driver was to just drive round at 90% power, they'll probably keep the ball on they'll probably keep the race car on the track a lot more. We'll probably keep the golf ball on the golf course a lot more. Yes, you're a bit slower, but not a massive amount slower, not a massive amount shorter. So I think the key checkpoint here would be to go to the driving range and try and hit 10 shots at 100% power as hard as you can, see what your accuracy is like, and see how that accuracy plays on the golf course. Then maybe take the next 10 balls and dial it back 5%. You might lose a little bit of yardage, but you might gain a bit more accuracy. Then dial it back another 5%, so you're now at 90%. See how much yardage you lose, see how much accuracy you gain, and you'll find a sweet spot that you think, that's a good combination between power and accuracy. That's going to give me enough power to use my driver to get it on the fairway, but enough accuracy to keep it out of trouble. If you know that you've got a big tee shot in you, maybe there's a big par 5 wide open, but a big carry over water, 250 to take the dog leg on or something like that, you think, well, now I can use my driver, but I'll use my fastest swing. So have a few 100% swings, a few 95s, a few 90s, and see whether you can keep the ball in play with a slightly more controlled driver swing. Having said all that, I'm going to take the opportunity, being as though this video is about hitting it 100%, to crack one out there and see how far I can hit this one. So this is a super wide stance, nice big grip, big full backswing, so either I can keep one in play. That's a hard hit, but it's not going to be on many fairways. So that one started off down the centre, drew a little bit violently down the left-hand side. Probably gone well over 300 yards, but it wouldn't have been on the fairway I was on. So if I went to the driving range and hit 10 of those in a row, I'm thinking, okay, 100% isn't for me. Let's dial it back, let's get a bit more consistency. So next time you're at the range, experiment with that driver swing at 100% and see whether you can do a better job than I just did.